Like I can't sit still.
Because you can't sit still. Yeah.
Make sure that we go live. I always want to check just to make sure we're live because sometimes there's technical difficulties.
Lots of times.
How hot is it in Houston today?
It's freaking cold, you know? We don't like the cold weather here. Yeah. It was like 39 degrees this morning.
Weird. All right. We are live, ladies and gentle sirs. We are here today with the lovely Tricia Turner, and we're so excited to have her. She's the founder at Tricia Turner Properties in Houston, Texas, the owner and CEO of Honeybee Home Staging, and she also has a real estate podcast herself called Anything But Average, which we will link in our show notes for everybody that wants to go watch and listen to Tricia's podcast. So Tricia, tell us about you. Tell us about your journey into real estate, how you became a real estate agent, why, all the good things.
Gotcha. First of all, thanks for having me. I've been in real estate like you guys have forever, over 20 years. Started a long time ago when there wasn't really like cell phones and all the things that we have now, and worked for every big box company out there. Decided I didn't really want to be with any of those big box companies. So I got my broker's license a little over 5 years ago and opened Tricia Turner Properties. And then switched that over to, we still have Tricia Turner Properties, but it's now a mega team within EXP, and did that in 2018. And then with all of that formed, we grew super fast and had a lot of agents, and then realized such a need for staging in the real estate industry. When you have listings, we wanted to be that differentiator here in Houston. And so opened Honeybee Home Staging so that we could service our own clients and our agents and expand from there. So a lot going on.
Nice. Very, very exciting. What's the market like in Houston right now?
So market is, with you guys, I know in Colorado, y'all have like zero inventory. Same here, but it's really weird because Texas as a whole usually doesn't have much appreciation, maybe somewhere between 3 and 4%. But last year we had like 16%, which is unheard of. So we have a lot of people that want to sell because they're like, holy crap, my home just went up $100,000 last year, but there's nowhere for them to go. So we're probably in the same boat that you guys are, like in Houston, when you look at it as a whole, Houston, Florida, those are like the two hot spots where people are moving to. So last year we had a heavy influx of people coming in from out of state, ran out of houses to sell them, of course, and a lot of them got forced into apartments. And so their leases are coming up. So we're going right back into that same thing. It's like, okay, we still have no inventory. So the apartment rents are sky high.
Why does Texas not appreciate?
It's just the weirdest thing. And it's kind of Texas as a whole too. Austin is appreciated like crazy because of all the stuff going on there. But
they say Austin and Denver are like sister cities, very similar vibes.
Yeah, and Houston really hasn't. So like there's even neighborhoods with this crazy appreciation that we did have that have only appreciated just a little bit. It's the weirdest thing because Texas, when you look at it as a whole, you could have gotten land here fairly reasonable compared to where you guys are.
Interesting.
Big difference.
I wonder why that is. I always feel like Coloradans, they love Texas. Like I always talk to friends and clients that want to move to Texas. I've had several of them go there. So that's surprising to me that you guys don't appreciate that much usually, but I think you're going up big time.
We're going up now because we have no inventory. It's like when you look at like the appraisals and stuff, the appraisals are still coming in, high, but what's driving it up is all these buyers. They're driving up our value here. And so we got all these out-of-state people coming with cash, and that's what's buying our properties up. It's crazy.
What's the average sales price where you are?
Was 300, now it's 400. So it went up $100,000 since last year.
But the taxes are high compared to here.
What is y'all's tax rate there?
I mean, in the neighborhood.
1 to 1.2%, I would say. But you guys don't do state income tax, or am I wrong about that?
No, we don't. So our property taxes range between like 2.2 to 3.7. So different.
Ours is 0.5 to like 1.5.
That is cheap. Holy crap.
That's
people always bitch about it until they figure out, oh, it's a lot cheaper because the taxes are like a quarter of the price. I'm like, yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah. I know with y'all have no inventory too, because we have a lot of people that leave Texas to go to Colorado, and they're like, I have clients that have been looking for a house for over a year, and they're like, I can't find anything. They're trying to find just rentals now. It's insane.
Yeah. Brutal. I mean, it's the whole country for sure. What are you guys doing right now, like as agents, as a team, to try to help your buyers get under contract on things because it is so compressed and it is so brutal right now.
Yeah, it's super compressed. So with us, we're heavily focused on listings because, like I tell my agents, people don't realize it. Like, yeah, the market's good and homes are selling, but we're like in a situation right now where we don't have any homes to sell. And so if we're not selling homes, we're not making any money, then people aren't paying their bills. People aren't feeding their families. I mean, it's a problem. And when you look at real estate as a whole, there's 26 different vendors that are involved every time we sell houses. You know, it's insurance and landscapers and title. It trickles all the way down. So it's like, we're a huge portion of what drives our economy. And so for us, we're being like laser focused on buyers making a solid offer. Look, here's what you're going to have to do. Maybe no option fee. Maybe you're going to put in an earnest money of 2 to 4%. You're going to put in that you're going to pay the title policy. You're not going to ask for a home warranty. You're going to do anything basically the seller wants just to get this deal, because we're putting houses on the market and they're getting 10 to 20 offers, and then these properties, only one's going to win, you know?
Yeah.
And then they're all going to look for another one.
So because you're a home stager too, something that people don't realize, because I'm also a stager, is because I stage for agents outside of my brokerage, I get to see houses before anybody else does. So if one of my agents maybe has a buyer for that property, that agent in my brokerage might be my assistant for the day.
Yeah.
And they might be able to go through that house and take video first. And make an offer first before they even hit the market. So that's a massive advantage that people don't realize that we have.
It's a huge advantage. So are you guys finding there that you're staging more or you're staging less because of the market?
I am staging everything.
We are too.
Every single thing all the time. But we don't have many stagers in town. We've only got like really, I mean, so we've probably got like 10, but we've got like 4 good ones. So
how long have you been doing it?
The staging stuff outside of my brokerage, I've only been doing it for like a year. But just in my brokerage for about 5 years.
Do you love it?
I do love it. Yeah. I really enjoy the design stuff. I don't like moving furniture, but I like the rest.
No, but that like the fun part is like putting it all together. You know, I didn't think I would like it at first either. And I was like, I kind of dig this sometimes more than the other stuff, you know?
100%. Yeah.
So what do you guys, since you're both really heavy with your value proposition revolving around staging, what would you say to other agents about staging in this market? Because, you know, not everybody has inventory. Like, it's expensive, it's time consuming. Why would we do it if the house sells in 2 hours? Like, what do you guys say about that to other agents?
What's your answer?
My answer is, in this market, anyone can sell a home, but I'm going to sell it for a hell of a lot more because I stage the house and you're not going to have to pay for it.
Yep. So here in Houston, we have, you know, it's a huge city. And so we have like 43,000 real estate agents or more probably now. And so there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of discount people out there, agents that are trashy and they don't do anything for the client. They don't care about the client, and they'll just do it for 1% or just a flat fee just to get something in the yard, which is such a disservice to the client. So what we go in and tell them the same thing that you do. We're like, look, we're going to do it for a full commission, which in Houston, our custom one is like 6%. And so we're going to do it for a full commission, but we're going to sell your home for 6 to 10% over market value because it's staged and it'll be marketed like crazy. And it'll basically pay for our commission. So all of that's included. And then we have a moving truck that we throw in as well, because as you know, most of the time when we got to go in and stage their houses, they've got ugly furniture or they've got stuff that needs to come out. So we're like, well, we have a stager. She goes in and does all this stuff. And we're like, well, when Amy comes in, she's going to kind of give you a list of things that maybe need to be removed. And so you just come get the moving truck and you can use it and haul your stuff off to storage. So it works really well when they're like, I'll do all of this stuff. Like, how much is this going to cost? And we're like, nothing. It's part of what we do.
So yeah, I feel like
reducing your commission, there's a lot more value add. So people are a lot less apt to ask for a discount because they're getting so much more than they would be with just your average agent that doesn't offer that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like a lot of agents don't do it maybe because they struggle defending their commission percentage, right? Or like they're asking for more in a market when a lot of agents are doing it for like substantially less. So do you guys find that people argue over it with you frequently, or is it that they really believe that you're with that top tier commission? And like, how would you tell people to offer more and earn that higher percentage, if that makes sense?
I think it comes down to the type of agent that you want to be and what you want to be known for. I refuse to show my homes like that. It's a disservice to my seller. If that house is not professionally photographed and staged, it's going to show a lot different than mine. And because we're a small city, I can literally show them side by side one of my listings versus one of another agent's listings that are taken cell phone photos with that hasn't been staged and it looks like a crack house versus mine that's selling for 100 grand more. And all I did was stage the house and take professional photos. Like, it seems like a no brainer. Like, why would you leave that much money on the table? It doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
Like, and I get that anybody can sell a house right now, but it's not about that. It comes down to who's going to sell it for the most. Like, by choosing someone that might be cheaper, commission wise, they're going to be paying for it in the back end when they get, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand less for their house. And that's a pretty easy sell. I don't actually have to negotiate at all. In fact, I get more than most agents do.
Oh yeah. And also, like, think of it like this, because we're not in real estate to get in and get out of the market. We're here to stay forever. And I tell people this all the time. I'm like, there's like a big divide between the agents that have and the agents that have not. And the ones that have, like we were talking about before we jumped on, they have a lot. And the ones that have not have nothing. And so as you look at like the innovation and how things are disrupting our industry and our commissions being disrupted nonstop, because a lot of sellers believe that anyone can sell a house. It's like, that is not true. Number one, homes still sit. And number two, when you look at what we're selling them for when they're staged and they're professionally marketed and they're handled like we do, they're going to sell for way more than your average Joe. This market's going to shift. We're going to shift back to a normal market. And at the end of the day, when that ends up happening, the ones that have not, unfortunately, a lot of them will be gone. But you know what? Here in Houston, we're welcoming that because there's too many of them. And it's a disservice to the homeowner.
I feel like it's happening. It's happening already. I mean, the compression is just so intense right now. I don't think people can survive this if they don't figure out a way to offer more value and stand out on the buy side or the listing side, right?
Yeah, I think if your value proposition is I'm cheaper, you're going to be gone. You better figure out how to compete with me and with Tricia and with Lindsay. And if you can't, you're going to be working at Kohl's next year. You have to figure it out. Anybody can reduce their commission. Like, that's not a value proposition. It's just not.
Well, and look at it too, like when you do the math, like, and they just put out, NAR just put out a report. The average agent sells 5 homes a year. It's like 5 homes a year. Holy crap. And they may make $39,000 a year. It's like, how do you survive on that? And then you're going to go out there and have your commission and you're only selling maybe 5 homes.
Well, I mean, they were selling 5. Like, but now with the market as compressed as it is, the top producing agents are selling less because, like we were talking about before we jumped on, there's nothing to sell. So if you were only selling 5, are you down to what? 2, 1? I mean, it is hilarious to me. I posted something about it over the weekend that like the public / some real estate agents think that this market is easy. This is the hardest market we've ever seen. People are always like, oh, I don't want to work through a recession. We worked through the recession. This is the most skill-based, hardest market we have ever seen. Like, that was easy in comparison, right? Yeah. I just don't know how people survive this if they don't come up with some type of value proposition or figure out how to work harder and prove their worth more.
They're not. They're going to end up going on a team. You're going to have a whole lot of independent agents that join teams because they think that that's the only way they can survive under the guise of we're going to get leads.
And maybe that is though,
Yeah. And by the way, if you're a team leader, probably one of the best times to hire ever in history, right?
Yeah. They say, I was listening to a podcast 2 weeks ago, and they said this year will be the survival of the fittest in the real estate industry. It's like, you better be prepared to work a lot more for a lot less money. And like I was telling my agents, we do team meetings on Monday. And I was like, I told them the exact same thing. I was like, y'all maybe are going to be working and grinding every single day. And you may not get paid like you should be, of course. And you're not going to get paid as much as you did. But this too shall pass. We'll get through this. We're not going to go out of business. We're going to keep pushing. And what's going to end up happening is you're just going to learn to hustle more. You're going to learn to work that daily grind. And you're going to build a solid pipeline. And that's what we want anyway in real estate, This is a hard market.
Yeah, you might not make as much this year, but next year when you're still around, you're going to be making 10 times as much as everybody else because everyone else will be gone.
Exactly. So for you guys there in a small town, don't y'all get like shut down during the winter too because of snow? No?
No.
We're pretty seasonal. So, I mean, we do 100% of our equity appreciation yearly since like they started recording real estate records here between January and the end of like January 1 to the end of May. But I mean, we absolutely still sell homes all year. And weirdly, our fourth quarter is always really strong.
Yeah.
So.
And for us, like right now is my busiest time of the year. Between now and June, it's wild because we're so military based. We go through whatever cycles PCS season is. So when military folks are moving in or moving out, we get crazy busy. So it's a little crazy. And right now we've got so much flux happening with, we don't know what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
So lots of people are moving in, moving out often. And it's interesting to see where they're moving to.
Oh, can we talk about that for a second? Actually, let's take the next 10 minutes that we have and talk about that. So what the hell is going on in the world right now? I will say that I did feel like my weekend was slow. So I had like 6 listings on the market this weekend, and compared to the last, so I mean, they all got multiple offers and they all went under contract, but I feel like it was less showings and less offers than probably like the week before. So do you guys think that the fact that people believe that we're going to war is affecting things?
I think that was just a byproduct of interest rates going up and people not knowing if it's going to be permanent or temporary. Same thing happened to me too.
I think it's rates plus what's going on. But
I mean, my market, we're excited about war down here for some reason. My clients are all like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, please don't, just stay here.
And see, I'm in Texas where we're just rebellious anyway, and we don't really give a crap about anything. So we were making a jokes about it actually in the training room Monday. It's like, well, because it's like the media just blows everything up. It's like, okay, we're done with COVID now because now there's like, we're going to war. So you don't hear crap about COVID. Now it's just the war. It's like, it's just something about drama, you know? Is it true? I don't know.
But usually war means that interest rates go down. Typically, statistically anyway. But for whatever reason right now they seem to be climbing a little bit, and I don't really know why that is because I don't follow that kind of thing. But
well, I think I know why. I mean, well, I think it's a billion reasons. I mean, I think that we have to raise rates because this appreciation that we're having in the market is insane and it can't continue forever. It's really getting to the point where like it will hurt people and people can't continue buying at these prices. So I think it's partially them trying to slow it down on purpose, but also historically, like when something happens in the world, the only lever that we have to pull to stimulate the economy and make it kickstart again is lowering rates. But if rates are already at 2%, you can't lower them anymore, right? And so there's no like stimulation that can happen. So I don't find it curious that, you know, we are finger quotes going to war and rates are rising, because if we do go to war and the market freaks out because of it, what are they going to do?
We're going to get a home buyer tax credit that has to be paid back.
They're going to give us a tax credit, or they're going to lower rates. They're going to incentivize people to buy. But if rates are already so high, you can't incentivize anyone because there's nothing to do. So that's my thought. But
so without violating OPSEC, which is like a military term, I will say that I have a buttload of clients moving to Alaska and PCSing to Poland all at the same time.
What's PCSing?
They're moving.
Okay.
They're being military relocated, not moving by choice, right? PCS is, I don't know what the hell it's
it's a permanent change of station. So they're moving like now, like not a lot of notice. They're going right away.
Alaska, because it's close to Russia and they're PCSing. Okay, listen, I'm flying tomorrow and I'm a really, really, really bad nervous flyer. So like this is going to...
You're going the other way, you'll be fine.
I'm like, listen, if World War III erupts while I'm on a beach, that's like okay with me, but
not
while I'm in the air. Not while I'm in the air. Yeah. Wow. So they're Alaska and Poland, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do they think we're going to war?
I think that they have to be in place in case.
So does the town get all riled up there where you are? The military town get all riled up and like energy with this?
I mean, I'm too old for this at this point. Like I was in the military a long time ago. But I'm seeing either clients dropping their retirement packets immediately because they're in an MLS where they're like, oh shit, I'm going to actually have to like fight again. And I'm too old for this. Or they're like, let's go. Like, that's what I train for. Like, I'm really excited. Let's go shoot some people. I don't know. I don't get the mentality. So I'm like, whatever you want to do, just be safe.
So I'm curious to know, so you're in the military town there, so you guys do VA funding, I'm sure.
All the time. All day long. Yes.
Here in Houston, that's like unheard of right now because we have such an inventory problem. So if there's 20 offers in on a property and 3 of them are cash, 5 of them are conventional, and the rest are FHA and VA, those FHA and VA ones are getting completely overlooked because
makes no sense to me. I would much rather find a VA appraisal than be stuck with whatever a conventional appraisal says.
Oh yeah, because they don't rarely budge.
No, I'll fight a VA appraiser all day, and I haven't had a single issue with my appraisals not coming in at value. So
really,
yep, you just have to know.
You guys are sky high there.
Yeah, that's the other thing you need to look at in a market like this is your agent knowledgeable enough to fight appraisers, or are they just cheaper?
Yep,
because that's going to cost you money too.
Oh gosh, yeah. So are you guys seeing any low appraisals come in?
I mean, like 5 or 10 grand, but we've got appraisal gaps and stuff to cover that.
Okay. We're hitting some, not so much, but we are hitting some. We've heard of a couple of foreclosures coming on, but here in Houston, like everybody and their mother's an investor. So it's like, if one comes on the market, it's going to be gobbled up in seconds because everybody's got cash.
Yeah.
It's a crazy market that we're in.
We don't have a ton of cash in our market that's owner occupied. We have a lot of investors that are trying to come in and buy, or like home partners type deals.
Oh yeah.
That people are using to compete with the market being so crazy. But we don't have a ton of California investors coming in right now, because that's what we used to have, is a bunch of cash that way.
But yeah, I had a crazy actually situation this weekend where the highest offer by maybe $5,000 was an investor, and my clients are very up on all the stuff that's been happening with institutional investors buying up all of our homes and all the things, and they chose a owner occupant that was $5,000 less, and that agent, you guys, oh my god, the agent, investor buyer, lost her mind on me, and she was texting me for like 2 straight days about how horrible I was and how awful I was and how stupid I was that I would allow my clients to take $5,000 less and pick an owner occupant. And I was just like, oh my God, everyone's lost their mind. Like, I understand this is a really difficult job right now, but and I said that to her. I said, there's no need for nastiness, and I'm ending this conversation. And then she still wrote back and she was like, it's not nastiness, it's fact. And I was like, cool. But I do think that it's great that people are starting to fight back a little bit against this, you know?
Yep.
They did a study that showed 1 out of 3 homes right now is being purchased by the investors. And so that's kind of a scary and alarming thing. It's like, we can't let them get control of the market like that. So I've been encouraging my agents the same thing. It's like, look at your buyers that are coming on those contracts. Really make sure that your seller's okay. I know you can't steer, but we can always guide. Mm-hmm. And, do they want it to be an owner occupant buyer, or is it okay to be an investor? Because we got to protect our country and everything. This is our livelihood, you guys.
Especially right now. Like, we're on the brink of war, and you're telling these people that they don't have enough skin in the game. Like, come on.
I know, it's so crazy to me. That is nuts to me. What idiot decided not to understand VA offers or VA financing and just totally made this like bullshit about them not being worthy buyers? I don't get where that came from. It's like people literally think because they're putting $0 down that they're not qualified. It's not down payment assistance. They could have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank. It's that they serve their country, so they get that benefit. Like, it's nuts to me.
Yeah. What I don't think people understand, it's not like you're walking out of the closing with either a bag of cash or like some fake check. Like, I don't get it. Like, it all spends the same. Why not give everybody the same opportunity? I don't get it at all. Like, when people call me on my listings and like, hey, I've got a VA buyer, I'm like, awesome, send me an offer. Like, I will take that VA offer, because guess who's selling all of these houses? VA clients.
Yes.
All of our market down here is kind of driven by the military. So why would you screw those people over? And like, we have several agents here. They're like, don't even bring that VA offer in here. I'm like, okay.
Still in the spring. I'm shocked. Like, so Colorado Springs, by the way, for any, like Tricia and anyone that's listening, is the largest aeronautical military presence in the United States of America. So like even down there, people are still saying no to VA.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
turning their nose up at it and all kinds of stuff. Like they would rather take conventional offers or FHA offers over VA. I'm like, what in the hell? Where does this come from? Like, what happened to you? How were you hurt by your recruiter? Like, what happened?
What happened to you?
Were you personally victimized by a VA at some point in your life?
Like, what happened?
I bet that's
Yeah, I
super
don't know.
rewarding for you to work with them like that, though.
It is, yeah. Especially the reasons why I do. So, which I don't really share with too many people, but yeah, it's super rewarding to help military folks who don't get paid a lot of money. FYI, you can see how much they make on their shirt. And if you want to Google it, it's not a whole shitload. Let me just tell you that for what they do for a living.
No.
So the amount of money that they're making when they buy a home and then are able to resell that home and make $200,000, that is life-changing shit right there.
Oh my
Like,
gosh. Yeah.
it's not like your normal person making, you know, $30,000 or $40,000. If they're making 200 grand, that's like 4 times what they make in a year. Like
That's
that's
a lottery.
right? It's
It
like
is. It totally, yeah, no, like people are literally sitting on a lottery ticket. That's such a great way to put it.
It's life-changing, you know, it's life-changing for people. It's like we got to do more to be out there and like protect people and help people and guide them to do the right things. And everyone has to get off this selfish, self-centered stuff. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, Jessica commented and said she's in PA, also near the military base. Most listings are not even allowing VA or FHA financing. I've done a few VA deals recently and had no issues. I've had 2 FHA come in slightly undervalue. One of the FHA appraisers called for 24 repairs. I still don't understand why agents deter VA financing. I think we're going to do a whole show on this, by the way, because I think it's very timely that we need to talk about this with everything going on in the world. But I don't get this. It's so crazy to me. It's ignorant. And the agents that go the extra step in their MLS and write no VA.
I have a whole list of those people in my office.
It needs to be like a protected class.
It really does. So, fun fact, I went to high school with Jess Lehman.
Oh, you did?
I did.
That's so
In
cool.
Pennsylvania. Yeah, she still lives there.
That's hilarious. Very
Yeah,
cool.
they have a little well, it's not huge. It's mostly like a reserve base, Indiantown Gap in Anvil and Cleona, Pennsylvania. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. I would think that you have a lot of repairs up there, probably because a lot of the homes are a lot older in that area than they are in like a newer built area. So I think that's probably why you've got a lot of stipulations. The VA does not like chipping paint. That is one thing I will say. They don't like
but I mean, don't you guys like, I don't know about you guys, but when I go on a listing presentation, if there's peeling or chipping paint, I tell every seller that, like, it doesn't matter to me whether I think we're going to get a VA buyer or not. I always go, you either need to do this before we list, ideally, or you need to assume that you're going to get tagged on this at the appraisal and you're going to have to paint it. Like, don't you guys just tell everyone that?
I tell them, hey, we can list it as is, and it's probably going to cost you 10 grand, or we can repaint your house for 5 grand and make you an extra 15. What do you want to do? I'm not good at math, but I feel like that's better.
I like that answer. No, that's a simple fact. You know, and like here we can get away with some or overlook some things that we normally have them do just because, you know, the sad thing here in Houston is that before COVID, you could get a home for $200,000 all day long. In many neighborhoods, it wasn't just any certain low income area. It was like scattered all over Houston. And then, of course, with home appreciation, now they're gone. So when you get, like, we had a listing that went up Thursday, and, you know, we're having offers come in nonstop, and it was only $207,000. There isn't anything else out there like that. And it's like, it's sad because all these people came wanting to buy this house, 22 of them to be exact. Only one's going to get it. And there is no more other homes like that. It's like, what happened to that inventory? It's just non-existent, you know?
God. Well, and you know, people are so, I mean, I'm talking to people frequently that are just terrified to move.
Yeah.
And, you know, they don't know where they'll go. Right. So it's really keeping a lot of people from moving, which, you know, I mean, obviously I understand that, but at the same time, like, I kind of don't understand it because people are sitting on that lottery ticket right now. Right. So it's like you really, and rates, even though they went up into the 4s, really historically are still so low that you really could take your equity, get the low rates, and upgrade into something substantially bigger. But I think we almost created like our own bad thing where we and the news talked about how compressed the market is so much that we've scared people.
I think part of the problem is we've got a major problem down here where people are just refining multiple times in a few years because they're just getting preyed on. They're like, hey, your interest rate's going to stay the same, but you can cash out 50 grand of equity. What would you do with an extra 50 grand right now? Well, also there's like a whole shitload of money tacked onto the back. Like they don't like advise you like, hey, by the way, you're going to have to pay your funding fee again. And it's on the back of your loan. And then when I go to like pull comps and like figure out what your net sheet's going to be, all of a sudden there's an extra 30 grand on the back of there that I don't know about. And I'm like, why did you refi with this company? Oh, well, they closed me in my living room. You know, I didn't really ask any questions. I'm like, God.
And it cost me no money. And they always say that. It didn't cost me anything. It's like, oh, yes, it did. It's on the back. Of course it did.
Yeah. You just
There is no such thing as free lunch. Let's
no.
And then,
you know, I don't know about you guys, but there was a lot of loan modifications here done, of course, when COVID hit. So a lot of people didn't understand, like, what did that look like? I've got one of my listings where a guy didn't make a payment for 2 years. Well, guess what? We have it under contract now, and he owes $83,000 in fees. I'm like, oh my gosh. So he actually got to bring money to closing. Like, that's unheard of in this market.
ouch.
No, yeah.
No, that's painful.
No, not good. Like, how did that happen? But of course, no one disclosed anything. No one talked about anything. Of course, we got a payoff, and it's like, that's not good. But people don't ask questions, you know, and there's just so much free money that's been thrown around for the last 2 years. It's like, this is all just insanity to me, you know?
Well, we're going to jump off early today because what we're doing is we're going on Tricia's podcast. Yeah, this is going to be so fun. So we will put in our show notes the link to Tricia's show so everybody can follow. You know what this is like? It's like that Grey's Anatomy Station 19 crossover where it's like you got to watch Grey's to watch the first part of it, and then you got to go to Tricia's show to watch the next part. So we're crossing over, but we will see you guys very soon here back on our live channel, and we hope everyone goes and watches and listens to Tricia's Anything But Average podcast because it's awesome. We'll see you guys soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.